Hello, welcome. Today I'm going to tell you more about the Medtronic MiniMed 780G insulin pump. This is an insulin pump that I've been using and it's changed my life. I think it's terrific. However, it's not perfect, and if you're thinking about getting this insulin pump, you should know some of the downsides so you can be prepared and decide, is this pump right for you? So today I'm going to talk about the things that could be better. Let's jump right in. First up is the tape that comes with the insulin pump and the CGM. So there's something called oval tape that is the tape that comes with it for the CGM to hold on the CGM. And honestly, the adhesive on this oval tape isn't that good. The CGM is supposed to last 7 days. However, the adhesive can sometimes come off, especially if you're in a hot, humid environment or you're sweating a lot, or just there's a lot of variables, but it doesn't stick well always for the full length of time. So actually Medtronic has sent out a free adhesive sampler kit to solve for this problem. And I've bought other types of adhesives online. There's an assortment that you can buy. I really like this one called Hypafix, which is a hypoallergenic tape that comes in a roll. It's very affordable, and then you can cut it into the size you need and put it over your CGM. Number two, the insulin pump, Medtronic insulin pump comes with a pump clip. It's not shown in this picture. This is an aftermarket clip I bought that has a rotating clip that goes horizontal. But the clip the pump comes with is kind of weak. Sometimes it will sort of pop open when you don't really want it to pop open. Medtronic will replace it if it breaks. I believe you can get a replacement for free on their website. So it's not the end of the world or anything, but I personally want to make sure that I have a pump that I have a clip that is very, very sturdy. So I bought this rotating one that clips on, very strong clip onto my belt. And I will put a link to this in the description. In fact, everything I talk about today, I'm going to put links in the description. And some of those might be Amazon links, which are affiliate links, but they don't cost you anything more if you buy things through my links. But I do get a small commission for any purchase to help encourage me to continue to put out educational diabetes videos. So I really appreciate you. If you buy anything through the description, I appreciate very much. So weak pump clip, very minor issue. There's alternatives. And so you don't even need to wear the clip if you want. You can take the pump and just put it in your pocket. There's lots of different ways you can wear this insulin pump. So totally up to you. Number three, sensor warm-up time and sensor updating. So it does take 2 hours to warm up the sensor. And in general, on the first day, the sensor is not as accurate or can be less accurate. And sometimes it can go into this sensor updating mode where it doesn't show you your glucose value, and this can be a really annoying thing. This is not limited to only Medtronic's Guardian CGM. In general, across the industry right now, I think what I hear is CGMs not working sometimes is like the most common complaint. I see people posting online pictures of their CGM graph, and all of a sudden it's not working for no reason. They didn't do anything wrong. The technology is not perfect. It seems like it's maybe only works 90% of the time, which is really sad, really, that's the state of the technology, that we need it to be like 100% of the time working. I think I personally get better than 90% success rate with continuously having the CGM work for 7 days. One thing I do is I do something called I marinate the sensor the day before. So I usually start a new sensor in the morning, but before I go to bed at night, I actually put in the new sensor under my skin before I go to bed, and then it has overnight there's a little tiny filament that's what senses your blood sugar overnight that sits in my body fluids, which seems to help to make the CGM read better on the first day. So with the marinating technique, which I will link to a blog post that goes into detail about how to do this, with that marinating technique, I really get quite a very good success rate with the CGM working right away after that 2-hour warm-up period. However, of course, whenever it doesn't work, it always seems like it's the worst time, like I'm on vacation or something like that. So it's a huge inconvenience whenever it doesn't work, and that needs to improve. Okay, this is kind of a nitpicky thing, but just something to know about is that the sensor is supposed to last 7 days, and there's a status screen on the pump that tells you how many days you have left before you need to change the sensor. And since there's that 2-hour warm-up time period, knowing ahead of time when you're going to change the sensor is really helpful. Like, I like to change the sensor first thing in the morning, and then I don't eat breakfast until the sensor has already warmed up. That's what I do. It works well with my life. But if you look at the status screen, it will say how many days are left. And it's not, when it says there's 2 days left, it's actually less than 2 days. And then when it says there's 1 day left, it's less than 1 day. So you might look at it and think there's 1 day left, but it could be just a couple of hours left, as it shows here. It was only 5 hours left. And that means I need to replace the sensor within 5 hours or it's going to stop working. So just a small thing, a UX thing. It could be more clear that you have a number of hours left, not a full day. Okay, so SmartGuard mode is the best mode when it works, which is most of the time it works well. It adjusts your insulin delivery automatically. It saves you a lot of time trying to figure out insulin dosage yourself, because it learns you and it adjusts insulin automatically. However, for whatever reason, sometimes one day you'll need maybe 30% more insulin than the previous day. There can be any number of reasons for this. It could be hormonal changes. It could be you didn't sleep as well, and when you don't sleep as well and don't get much sleep, you could have more insulin resistance. You could be getting sick. Maybe your diet has changed. Or maybe just no explanation at all. Or one person I saw, it was surprising. It was like the weather change. Like when they got really hot weather, the insulin requirements change drastically for them. So there's a whole bunch of reasons that the insulin requirements can change from day to day. Even as much as 30% or more insulin may be required the next day. And if that happens to you and you're in SmartGuard mode, the pump will not be able to keep up probably. It's possible your blood sugar will go high, and to solve for this, really working with your diabetes healthcare provider and figuring out the settings for manual mode is the solution here, because you can go into manual mode and set the settings to give you the right amount of insulin. And then after you do that for a day or two, the pump will learn that, you need this higher amount of insulin, and then you can go back into SmartGuard mode and it'll be fine. So this is a downside, and you'll see in that picture there that there's also this safety feature where if SmartGuard is giving you the maximum amount of insulin it thinks it can safely give you after 7 hours, it will tell you, we've been doing this for 7 hours. Are you okay? Basically, is this sensor right? And they want you to put your blood glucose in to make sure that things are okay. There are a bunch of safety precautions, which is great because you don't want anything to go wrong here. Insulin dosing too much can be extremely dangerous. So there's a lot of safety precautions built into the insulin pump, which is also a good thing, right? Good job, Medtronic MiniMed. They're now MiniMed. Medtronic split off their diabetes division into MiniMed. Number 6, there's no way to transfer the pump's brain to a new pump. The problem is if your insulin pump gets a crack or something goes wrong with your insulin pump, it does have a 4-year warranty, and Medtronic will replace your insulin pump under warranty, no charge to you. However, the algorithm, it learned you in your old pump, and now your old pump is broken and you're getting a new pump, and now it has to learn you all over again. And this is something that from a technological standpoint, it could have been solved for, right? There could have been a way to transfer the brain, the software from the old pump, what it learned about you, the data into the new pump. Well, there's no way to do that. So what that means is if for any reason your pump stops working and you get a replacement pump, it does have to learn you over again. And the first few days you have to be in manual mode, and then you can go into SmartGuard mode. And I found that it really takes months to get really good at being fine-tuned to you. So it's just a downside. It's not the end of the world. And I've only had to replace the pump once, and it didn't totally stop working. It just got a small crack, and the small crack is enough to make it not waterproof. So it's a good idea to replace it if that happens to you. But this is minor. I'm just letting you know about the downsides here. Number 7 thing that could be better about this insulin pump is finding out about insulin flow blocked. Insulin flow blocked can take a long time. So a good habit is to replace like your infusion set in the morning, because that way if there's anything that went wrong with your infusion set, you would find out during the course of the day. However, I had the experience here where I replaced my infusion set in the morning, and then all day long I was getting high blood sugar, and I couldn't figure out why was I getting high blood sugar. As you can see in this picture, there's a alarm history, so it tells you exactly every alarm that went off, which is, really interesting to look back on. And on this day, I got alarm on high twice. Actually, now that I'm looking at this again, the alarm on high was actually after the whole insulin flow blocked problem. So not getting enough insulin flow caused my blood sugar to go high afterwards. And so what happened is I took out, like, when it said insulin flow blocked, I took out my infusion set and put a new infusion set in, and this is what I saw. The cannula, that's in the little piece of plastic that goes under your skin, had a little bent in it. It was bent, and then that caused the insulin delivery to not work sufficiently and get an occlusion, a blockage. And so it took all day for the insulin pump to say, oh, your insulin flow is blocked. So that's what could be better, because not getting enough insulin, even if it's only like 4 to 6 hours, is enough time to get really sick from not having insulin. In my case, I was still getting some insulin in this case. It just wasn't enough. So I didn't get really sick or anything, but it was definitely a frustrating day of why is my blood sugar high, finding this out later on, and then having to replace the infusion set in the evening again. So these are the things that you deal with insulin pump technology. Number 8, no ability to bolus from the phone. This is kind of minor, but I mean, it would be nice to be able to bolus from your phone. There is a MiniMed app that works for both Android phone devices and iOS iPhones. You can see the graph. It has a lot of information about your insulin pump status, but you can't do a bolus, so you do have to take your pump out of your pocket or your case or whatever at mealtime to give yourself some insulin. So just a small thing. Some competitors do allow you to bolus from the phone. I mean, the upside of this is there's no way that your insulin pump could get hacked from your phone, right? Because the phone it's not possible. So, I mean, it's definitely very safe that you can't bolus from your phone, but a little bit inconvenient. Okay. Lowest target is 100 milligrams per deciliter or 5.6 millimole per liter, which is the equivalent number. So how the SmartGuard mode works is that you can set 100, I think it's 100, 110, or 120 as your target. Those are your choices. So the algorithm, the brain of the insulin pump, will try to give you enough insulin to get you to that number. And then when it gets you to that number, it's going to try to let up on the insulin so you don't go low, because going low is super scary, right? So it's very optimized to keep you safe and you won't go low. However, it's hard to get a really, really good number here. This is the lowest I've gotten so far, being on SmartGuard most of the time, which my A1C was 6. That's the lowest I've gotten. And 6 is considered a pre-diabetic A1C number. At this level here, I shouldn't be having any long-term side effects. It's supposed to be low enough that you should be okay. However, it's not as low as somebody without diabetes. And it would be really great if there would be a way that you could have normal numbers, right? And there are some people with type 1 diabetes that do achieve numbers that are like a 5 A1C, which is a normal A1C number, as the same number as somebody without diabetes. But I, in my experience, I don't find this achievable with a SmartGuard mode. I think it could be achievable in manual mode with optimal insulin settings and probably a very low carb diet. And even then, I'm not entirely sure if I could achieve it. There's other things in my life, a lot of fluctuations in my insulin needs. I often go high or low before, after exercise. It's challenging to get a 6 So to get a 5A1C is a little hard. And some of this is, a little hard. For most people, I think it's very hard to try to get a 5A1C if you have type 1 diabetes and you're managing your blood sugar with insulin. The insulin today we have, the short-acting insulin, it takes about an hour and a half before the insulin peaks. So, and it also, after you inject the insulin, it takes about 10 minutes, 15 minutes for it to start working generally. So there is this, the insulin is not really as fast as the insulin as natural insulin would be. So that's one of the limitations. So this is the state of diabetes technology today. Faster insulin would probably help us out quite a bit. Okay, and then the number 10 thing that could be better, the thing that you absolutely should know about before buying this insulin pump, is that there's ongoing costs. And what those ongoing costs are going to be depends on what your insurance is. And that is something you should be able to talk to a Medtronic rep, and they should be able to look at your insurance and figure out what it would cost you to get the supplies on an ongoing basis. So you need to get sensors every 7 days. You have to replace the CGM sensor. The infusion sets are either every 3 days or every 7 days, depending on which type you have. And then you also have to replace the insulin reservoirs. And then the transmitter should be replaced about every year because the transmitter has a battery in it that will stop working eventually. So there are these ongoing costs, and what it costs depends on your deductible, your health insurance plan, and probably a number of other factors. So definitely find out about the ongoing costs and make sure you can afford them, that you have a plan to be able to afford them, because you can't use the insulin pump if you can't afford this. And that's really sad that it costs so much. Those are the 10 things that I wanted to tell you about, because you should be a very informed consumer if you're going to buy an insulin pump system. It's an investment. It's an investment in your health, in your future. And I think this pump has changed my life. It's been terrific. However, there are other insulin pumps out there, new technology coming out all the time. Talk to your doctor, watch other videos. If you want to know more about this insulin pump, I have another video that goes in depth into this insulin pump. So check out my YouTube channel. Subscribe. I will be doing more videos about all things related to diabetes. And please let me know what your questions are and what your experiences are. Thank you. And before we go, just wanted to plug my website, insulinpumplife.com. I got a free ebook you can check out, what they don't tell you about insulin pumps, but I will when I talk more generally about insulin pumps. And it's I would love to hear your comments there. I talk about food, about exercise, about different types of technology. So yeah, there's a lot there. Also, I wanted to point out my shirt. Advocate, don't celebrate 100 years of insulin. This is from Type 1 International, a nonprofit who is working to make insulin and diabetes supplies available for everybody that needs insulin. So worldwide, only about 50% of people can afford insulin. So please support Type 1 International. I'll put a link in the description to where you can buy shirts, sweatshirts, coffee mugs, etc. to support them. So I love the saying, advocate, don't celebrate. Don't celebrate, advocate, because we've come a lot in 100 years, but don't celebrate because there are so many people that still need access to insulin, and there are so many people that are still suffering from diabetes complications and dying from diabetes. And that it's something where we could change the world if everybody had access to insulin. Well, thank you. Please let me know what you think, and look for more content in the future.